Hey, hello everybody, my name's Tyler and welcome back to the show. How are you doing today? It's been about a week since I've come back from Los Angeles. It was really good. I have a video for like my vlog about it, but I've honestly been trying to work on the video when I'm at work because for some reason that's more convenient for me to work on it compared to being at home. But the issue is like I'm just about done with the video, but I have to record like videos like this to where I talk to the camera and I like fill in certain details. But the other issue, it's like there's some weird motivation. I'm just procrastinating to do it, so I just end up doing things around the house instead. So I need to get back on that. But the TLDR is I really enjoy the vacation that we had. We had one day Universal, and there's footage of that. We had dinner with family, and we did a lot of like food hopping on the last day before we had to fly back. So that was pretty fun too. I definitely do. We do plan on going back to California later this year. That does come after my trip to Texas in July, so hopefully the sooner we get a confirmation from work that I got that week off, the sooner I'm able to book the Airbnb or the hotel, to book the flights and just kind of go from there. After coordinating with family, just because there's bits of my family that are going to California, are going to Texas for the wedding. I just need to let them know what's going on, so maybe we have a chance to like get housing together or save costs on certain things. So that's definitely a goal, because if my family wants to be in the same hotel together, sure, that's great, we can save costs. If we're going to be traveling together, that's another cost save, because we can also use Turo for a car rental service instead of the normal options at the airport, much like when you book a plane and then you can choose after the plane what car rental service you want to do. I've used Expedient or Express. I can't remember what the service was called, but I'm very excited to have that trip. I just got to currently work on saving money from working the OT. And yeah, I have a lot of things that I want to go look forward into. I'm actually having a lot of fun streaming on YouTube, just because I've noticed like I have more attention on YouTube than I do on Twitch, despite my affiliate status, and I feel it's weird. I've said it before, I believe, in a podcast or like in video form, that I don't feel like I get much use or I get much benefit from having an affiliate program right now, because I'm very happy that we achieved affiliate on Twitch. But the issue is the way I received it, I feel very disingenuous. My roommate says it's stupid, but the whole reason I got affiliate was because of combined effort, because I technically count as one view because I'm watching my own stream through the creator's dashboard. So I watch my stream to watch the diagnostics of the stream health and any comments, and to respond to any follows or activities. And then Shrunken for a time, Cody and Mark, who are Devil and Shrunken on Twitch, we would be co-oping on streams for a collab like every Sunday, and it was with their efforts that helped me get my status. But it's funny, it's for as much as they've helped me get my affiliate status, it's been several months since we last spoke, because I had the wedding, and then afterwards I haven't been streaming much. And then it's I find it disappointing, just because I thought there was a relationship there in terms of like camaraderie and whatever. but the devil only ever reaches out to me when it's convenient, much like how he talks to me whenever he's around Cody. And Shrunken, sure, he's been having his head down into his own shit, sure, but for some reason Shrunken doesn't make the same effort to reach out to me as he brought up how I haven't talked to him in a while. And I have receipts of where I've actually reached out to him before, but he's only ever reached out on his convenience. And that's the same problem with like Market, because as much as like Devil's fine, as much as Devil and Cody are fine, like they're fine as individuals, but I wish we had an opportunity to really just have casual conversations outside of streaming whatever game Shrunken wanted to play. And a lot of the streams were guided by Shrunken, I'll be honest. I've only ever had a few times where I helped with the directive and the direction, but I would love to talk to them again. I haven't been able to be the first one to respond or reach out first lately because of my busy schedule, because we just came back from LA and we have a lot of fluctuating overtime that's at work. So between that and Christmas, like I reached out a few times up until Christmas, and then the past 4 months since 2023 or 2022, sorry, I haven't had time to really reach out to him as well. I've done my own shit, and I've done my own shit because that's been pretty convenient. I played mobile games on Twitch because I want to monetize on my gaming, because why not? But for some reason, I'm just a little, I've always been concerned, which actually brings me to one of the questions for today. We're answering 3 questions that I have up, and I wouldn't say I have a phobia, but I do have fears. Because phobia is under the impression you have a fear of certain things. Like tryptophobia is like the fear of many holes close together, kind of like looking at tryptophobia pictures is really creepy and like concerning. It's definitely off-putting. Or honeycombs, bullet holes, lamprey teeth. There are a lot of things that are very uncomfortable to look at for tryptophobia, so that's very a bad thing. But I do have fears, and one of my fears is detachment. I have an attachment issue, and I've always had large fears, and the people close to me would find me very useless and unwanted. So I've always had a complex of like building up on my work ethic and work moral, because I've been wired to the idea that the level of attachment people have with me is based on my results. And that's not a really healthy situation to be a part of, but that is a problem because of my mom. And I keep honking the horn about my bad childhood, but the TLDR is like, she measured her love for me based on my performance, which was how much I weighed, how many grade A's I brought home, stuff like that. So my mom sewed in the attachment issue to me. I moved out, and I need to chill out. I really do need to chill out, because honestly, I do need to understand that like not everyone can give me the attention that I think I need. But what I really need is to learn how to give people space, because space makes the heart grow fonder. But also a different issue entirely, to where maybe people really do have things they have to work on immediately. It's not about me. But I also accidentally do come off as someone that wants it to be about me, because for me, my results matter to me, because my results, I used to think that my results determine how long people stay around me. And I do need to chill out. I need to calm down because it's not about me. And I have to accept that people are busy with their own things, and they will, if they are able to come to me, they will. You have to give people the benefit of the doubt, even if there's no empirical proof. I have to believe that. I have to understand that. I have a fear of FOMO as well. So phobia, is it a phobia? Fear of missing out? Yeah. That's the thing I can really expand on, phobias, because it's kind of hard to talk about because I keep going on a circular storytelling about my past. Let's try to avoid that. What is something immature that you think my parents do? And that doesn't help my situation, because it's really immature that there are certain parents that try to live vicariously through their kids. Because my mom, it's so funny. My dad let me do the best thing. One of the best things my dad has done for me was let me do what I want, to where I needed to learn what failure looked like. I needed to follow what love felt like. I needed to act on those based on my own decisions. I needed to nurture my own self-decision to be independent. I couldn't be dependent for the rest of my life. And my mom had the very bad habit of trying to live vicariously, from telling us, you're going to go to this school, you need to do this grade. And she would impose certain social judgments, like, who's going to care outside of my mother and I what my grades are? If I go to college, only it's surface level. College is only going to care about my grades in regards to my placement and if they accept me, which wouldn't have mattered because the community college accepts everybody. So my grades didn't matter. My body fat, how fat I was, should not matter to anybody. And it's not their problem to judge me by. They shouldn't judge me on my weight anyways, because screw you. Number one, if you want to judge people based on their weight or their quirks, you need to let them be as unique as they are and leave them alone. But my mom imposed on the idea that people will love me less the fatter I got, which is not true. She imposed certain beliefs about school, which did not happen. And the TLDR, parents can't live vicariously through their children, because the time frame and the age of technology doesn't allow that. My parents grew up in an age to where technology was only being as advanced as the mobile cell phone, and the internet was practically born in the 90s. So when it comes to raising children, you have to cater your techniques and cater the way you raise your children based on the environment, based on what you're living in. If I'm living in an environment where the internet's growing, where YouTube starts its company and starts developing in 2005 and things like that, you want to nurture based on their surroundings. You want to nurture a kid based on what interests, what dislikes that they have. You can't raise a kid based on what you've been missing out. You can't raise a kid as a parent that you wish you had. That's very toxic. That leads to a lot of conflict, because your childhood will never be the same as your child. And that's a problem, because my mom was raised pre-post the Vietnam War, and that mentality and that environment was not very good for her. So my understanding is, she tried to raise me like a parent that she thought she needed, and I have an issue now because of that, to where I used to think I have to treat people the way I wish I was treated. I used to think that I have to raise my children the way I wish I raised. And you can't do that. You can't raise your children to be the parent that you wish you had. That's toxic. That's imposing. And neither my parents or I should do that. I need to break the chain of generational scars here, so that my children are raised based on whatever happens in 2030, 2040. That's how the business works. That's how raising a child has to work. And that's actually some good advice. But the last question is, have I been given any good advice lately? And I think I've been given a lot of good advice, because the majority of my media I listen to is very curated. I used to watch dumb videos, I used to watch gaming videos, but nowadays I've been listening to a lot of podcast form content, and that gives me so much freedom. It gives me a lot of freedom to do what I want. It gives me a lot of freedom to do chores while listening to content, to go to the bathroom and get ready while I listen to content. And one of the best advices I remember hearing was from the Mind Pump Show, which is a podcast style form on YouTube and Spotify, where the best advice is that you have to write down what you're feeling every time you're having it. Writing down your feelings is as important as speaking your feelings, because writing things down is a way of thinking, much like how talking and recording like this is a way of thinking. You have to catalog it and be able to let that thought rest, let the thought manifest, and then give space away from it. You have to make sure that you have to validate these feelings. Because the reason why he brought that up was because some of the parts of managing your appetite, it's a muscle, it's managing your cravings, is to write down how you feel when you have that craving for salty foods, when you have that craving for sweets, savories. What does it feel like to have that hunger? And then if you do act on it, you have to write down what it feels like after having it, after having that craving satisfied. And so a lot of times, like, the idea is to, when you self-actualize and you become more self-aware of what the hunger is doing for you emotionally, the idea is, by doing that, you recognize the emotion, and you have to recognize the course of actions you have to do based on those emotions. Because we were trained to be very responsive. We're trained to be responsive to where if you say hi, you say hi back. You have to be responsive to where if you fall down, you immediately think about, oh, why did I fall down? What's hurting me? Did I trip? It's the self-awareness that you gain from writing things down that will help you better process your thinking, better process your thought process. And I'm using a lot of words, but essentially, if writing is another form of thinking, then you need to express that form of thought. You can't let it fester. You can't let it take space in your mind. You have to self-actualize it to be self-aware of it. And it's really good. I'm always struggling on that process as well. So it's a very slow process for me to write things down again. I used to write things down on the Note app to the pen and paper format, and I'm very bad at it. I don't always work on that muscle very often, but I do perform my best in making sure I have a way of expressing my thoughts. I do plan on going back into writing, and I think it'll be good for me and my mental health. I am very glad for that. I'm very glad for that last question, because it does help with a lot of thought processing. And not a lot of people do work on that kind of muscle. People just leave thoughts to themselves, and when they do that, they kind of, I feel like unattended thoughts leads to unhealthy habits. Because if you process the feeling of what it means to crave a cigarette, you can do actions to control it. Recognizing reactions, recognizing emotions is very good. But there's more power from how you respond to those feelings, because you're allowed to feel things. You're allowed to feel hungry. You're allowed to feel a certain feeling that comes from binging on liquor, binging on smoking. You're allowed to recognize the feelings that cause that cascading effect, but it's how you act on those feelings that matter in the long run. And that is the end of the video. That I think is a good way to end the video for today. When I wake up, I do plan to do things like finally finish that video and just kind of go from there. So in the meantime, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you liked it, follow me on YouTube at youtube.com/winwinsits. I believe the links to my socials will be in the description, much like how it is when you go to the description for every episode on the podcast, on Spotify or Anchor. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, my name's Tyler, I'm your friend, and I'll see you next time. Bye.